Hello everyone, and welcome to another video in my series all about how I'm trying to fight my fear of flying using virtual reality. In this video, I'd like to talk about some of the ways I distract myself during plane flights. I have a variety of techniques that I use to keep my mind occupied during flight, and I'm going to talk about them a bit here. I'll discuss my thoughts on each one, on what stage of flight I use each one, and on how I practice them all in VR. The first mental distraction I do is to play games on my cell phone, tablet, or even on a pencil and paper. Math games are my favorite, followed by card games like solitaire. I find that the fast-paced mental processing I have to do to play these games helps distract me from thinking too much about my anxiety level. For me, my mind tends to race with anxiety, especially at the more stressful parts of the flight. Having a math game to play, especially one that I can play very fast, helps me keep my racing mind on something other than anxious thoughts. I'm usually at my most anxious during takeoff, landing, or sudden bumps or jolts of turbulence, so it's most often at these points in the flight where I'll be playing math games. Using the Oculus Rift in VR, I'll load up a background window for my computer and play a few short games as I sit as a passenger on a flight. Another distraction that's helpful for me is to watch and/or listen to videos. This distraction has the added benefit of dimming the background noise of the plane flight, which is another important step in reducing my anxiety. Usually, I'll watch videos during the cruise portion of the flight, either by plugging into the in-flight entertainment system and watching their movies and TV offerings, or by connecting to my phone or tablet and watching videos that I've stored there ahead of time. I've even saved YouTube videos onto my phone that I find particularly calming, so that even without internet, I can listen to them or watch them on the flight. Inside of VR, I'll again use my headset's software functionality to load up an embedded desktop window that I can watch while I fly. The third method of distracting myself is to read something. The content doesn't matter as much as the actual act of reading, but I do try to steer myself to lighthearted or comedic subject matter, rather than something tense that could add to my stress level. I find that reading is most helpful during pre-flight stages like waiting in the terminal, and while the plane taxis. From time to time, I do try to read during cruise, but often I'm more distracted by watching a video, so I prefer that instead. Though I don't do this as often in VR, it is possible to simulate it on the flight, just as I embedded video or game windows on the screen. Finally, the fourth method of distracting myself on flights that I'd like to talk about today is actually something I've spoken about before, using mantras that I repeat to myself over and over again. This has a calming and distracting effect that seems to be most helpful to me when I'm at my most nervous. If this sounds familiar, it's because it's usually around the same time that I'm playing a math game that I'll be repeating a mantra or two to myself over and over again. My two favorites are, flying is inherently safe, and air is a cushion. Like the other techniques I have, I'll incorporate these into VR and practice them on virtual airline flights with the Oculus. Playing games, watching videos, reading things, and repeating mantras are all techniques that I've discovered to have worked for me in reducing my flight anxiety. Practicing these distraction methods and incorporating them into my toolbox of skills are all important steps that I take in order to reduce my fear of flying and to someday achieve fear-free flight. For helpful links to topics I talked about here, please check out the video description. If you have any personal experiences or thoughts, I'd love to hear them in the comments. And of course, if you like this video and would like to see more content like this, hit those like and subscribe buttons below the videos. Please keep in mind, I am not a licensed therapist or mental health professional. These videos document my personal experiences and should be taken as entertainment only.